Welcome back to Sudang Gaming Channel. This is a channel specializing in instructions on how to build characters, playing styles as well as instructions on all types of games. If you are a Vietnamese, please visit the link in the description to go to the 100% Vietnamese Sudang Gaming VN channel made by myself. Thanks for your support. In this video, I will introduce to you an extremely powerful build. You can use this build to go map, farm equipment, and even participate in 1000-mile dungeon. The main gameplay of this build is to take advantage of the positive effect subtlety of water phase right after performing the falta strike. This effect gives us a long enough time to spam any spell to damage monsters and bosses without consuming any spirit. To do this, we use two hidden spells, Water God Blink and Heavenly Quake. Use Water God Blink to not only avoid damage from the boss but also create large water wizardry damage. First, the grace I will use will be 5 Grace of Zhuanxu the Black Emperor, 1 Grace of Ling Bao Tianzun the Pure One, and of course, 1 piece of set bonus requirement mitigation is indispensable. First of all, we will talk about Grace of Zhuanxu the Black Emperor and the 5th effect of this grace, Subtlety of Water Phase. To activate this effect, we need first, you need to raise your stat water to at least 70 points. Second, after you successfully perform the falta strike, we will receive the Subtlety of Water Phase buff effect on ourselves. This effect allows us to perform any action that consumes spirit, such as using a weapon's martial art or casting a spell without consuming any spirit, and this buff lasts for a short time but is enough for us to take advantage of to spam some spells or skills that cause great damage to monsters. Next is a piece of Grace of Ling Bao Tianzun the Pure One that will cause a negative effect on the boss spirit vulnerability. This effect will reduce the boss's maximum amount of spirit each time you use the skill. This will cause the boss to run out of spirit more quickly. However, to do this, you need an item with the set bonus requirement mitigation effect, which helps you reduce the required equipment in grace and set bonus. This is how this build works most effectively. Next is about the weapons used. Here I use the new weapon of the DLC 2 Conqueror of Jiangdong, which is Longsword. The main reason is because the two main scale stat of this weapon are earth and water. Remember, to activate the effect Subtlety of Water Phase, you must raise at least 70 water points, so to make optimal use of it, the weapon used must have a water scale even if it is not the main scale. Longsword Premier Virtue also has a strong point in having a fixed martial art, Lamenting Blade, a martial art that causes a large amount of spirit damage, and this is very necessary because you need to quickly put the boss into winded and use falta strike. In addition, the two martial arts Serpent Slayer and Crushing Subjugation are also very strong. It is noteworthy that in the DLC 2 Conqueror of Jiangdong version, possessing the Longsword Premier Virtue weapon with these two skills becomes easier, because now you can freely swap between skills flexibly, thanks to the new feature from the blacksmith. And the last reason is Longsword Premier Virtue, whose second main scale is the Earth Virtue. Increasing Earth stat points cannot be ignored. Stat Earth not only helps increase attack power but also reduces the amount of weight carried. Let's look at the 4th effect of Grace of Zhuanxu the Black Emperor. Increases the amount of damage to the spirit depending on the lightness of your weight carried, meaning the lighter the weight, the higher the damage to the spirit. So it's very useful for this build. Basically, the gameplay of this build is as follows. Start by using martial art Serpent Slayer to approach the boss from afar and create a light lock, then switch to Lamenting Blade or Crushing Subjugation to deal spirit damage on the boss, causing the boss to quickly be winded. Next, use falta strike to receive the buff Subtlety of Water Phase. After receiving the buff, you can use the Water God Blink Wizardry to create continuous and effective damage. In case you face bosses with high water resistance, don't worry. With the Longsword Premier Virtue weapon, in addition to the water scale, it also has a earth scale. This means that you can use 2 earth wizardry spell, Imposing Slab and Heavenly Quake, to deal damage, instead of just relying on the Water God Blink spell. Therefore, Longsword Premier Virtue is the best choice for this build. When you increase your Earth stat to increase the attack of your weapon, you also increase the Earth Wizardry spell damage. And for those who don't know how to farm the two hidden spells Water God Blink and Heavenly Quake, I have put a video link how to farm and use 10 hidden spell in DLC 2 version below the description. Next is the selection of effects for the equipment. And with the main weapon, the most important effect you should have on the weapon is Ice Resistance Penetration. This effect is only available on weapons and reduces the monster's resistance to water element damage, which increases damage for water wizardry spell. Since this is a pretty rare special effect, you should try to farm to get it. If you don't have it, you can temporarily use the martial art spirit damage effect in this premium effect slot. Ice attack power increases Water God Blink's magic damage. Stone attack power increases Heavenly Quake's magic damage. Martial art spirit damage increases spirit damage when using weapon martial art. For helmets, we should choose the debuff damage amplification when using spells on monsters. For armor, we should choose the extend spirit disruption duration effect to extend the duration when the boss is winded. For arms, we should choose the power gain effect when successful deflect red skills. For accessories, we should focus on ice attack power or attack power and martial art spirit damage effects. Depending on your accessories ownership conditions, you can choose. About how to increase stat. With water stat, increase the maximum to 175 points to both increase the attack of weapons and also increase the magic damage of the water spell. With the second earth stat, raise the minimum until your carrying index is below 20%, or you can raise all the remaining points for the stat, because in addition to reducing heavy health, earth stat points also help us increase attack. With metal stats, you can raise 30 points to get a soft cap to reduce spirit consumption when using spells and increase attack power a little. Or you can also spend all your extra points on this stat to increase your attack power. With fire stat, increase at least 8 points to learn amplify damage spell, or increase 30 points to get soft cap to reduce spirit when using martial art. With wood stat, the only goal is to reach 2000 health points. In my personal opinion, this amount of health helps you avoid being beaten to death by the boss after just 2 hits. However, if you have good technique, you may not need to increase the stat. Next, choose Divine Beast. Here, I prioritize using Divine Beast Tengshi for the following reasons. Spirit damage to enemies with negative effects. This effect helps increase spirit damage when monsters are debuffed. Power drop on enemy upon wizardry spell effect. When you use wizardry spell, it causes the monster to receive the power drop negative effect, causing the boss to take less damage when attacking you. This helps us become more tanky and reduces the side effects of the damage amplification debuff. Effect increases wizardry spell damage. Because of these points, Tengshi is a very suitable choice for this build. The last part is the usage spell. Here I'm only talking about the amplify damage spell. This buff spell is similar to the damage amplification effect. The only difference is that it buffs itself, helping us increase damage by about 20 to 25%. However, at the same time, we also have to take 20 to 25% more damage from the boss. A suggestion when using this spell is to activate it when the boss winded, then use Falta Strike to take full advantage of the increased damage and avoid damage. The remaining 3 spells that are mainly spammed after using Falta Strike are Water God Blink, Heavenly Quake, and Imposing Slab, mainly used for bosses with high water resistance, or you can use Heavenly Quake twice to deal more spirit damage before using Water God Blink is fine. This is the end of the video. I hope you can complete the Wolong game soon, and my channel specializes in instructions for playing the game from easy to difficult. Hope you can support me by clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. Goodbye and see you in next video.